right, Shalom. You reached the He Prayed channel, and my name is Azim Awath. But first and foremost, I want to say, Call Halayim Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Bahashim Harachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of 7, 13, 19, who I learned this truth from, who rule well. Salutations to the Bakiyar, the elect, the 144,000. That's 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel consist of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America. The 144,000 being the governing body within the one-third. The rest of the one-third comprises of men, women, and children. Shalom to those Israelites scattered due to the diaspora and also the triangular trade. So our people will come looking like different ethnicities, having various complexions. So this is not a black thing. We're not the black Hebrew Israelites. We're just Hebrew Israelites. Shalom to those that die in this truth. It says the dead should be raised up first. Those that will be accompanying Yahweh Shah's return, including our King, King Mashal, who is King David. And as always, it's honor and privilege, honor and blessing to continue to do this work. Water Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah for permitting me to do such. Baba Kashah Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah allowed us to be an edifying lesson to at least one member of the elect. So just getting straight to it.
Of War, the Honorable Pete Hegseth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sure. Thank you. Please take your seats. Well, Mr. Chairman, the Joint Chiefs, Generals, Admirals, Commanders, Officers, Senior Enlisted, NCOs, Enlisted, and every member of our American military, good morning. Good morning and welcome to the War Department. Because the era of the Department of Defense is over. You see, the motto of my first platoon was those who long for peace must prepare for war.
Never sue the other driver after a
Slakia.
New idea, this crowd knows that. The origin dates to the 4th century Rome and has been repeated ever since, including by our first commander-in-chief, George Washington, the first leader of the War Department. It captures a simple yet profound truth. To ensure peace, we must prepare for war.
Right. So one of the things that he quoted was Rome, right? And I'm pretty sure you might have watched Apostle Tahar's video dealing with, 4th century Rome being a period in which Jake was in rule. But the key dealing with comprehension was the fact that he mentioned Rome, which we're in Rome all over again, right? Now it goes into Satan bound, right? And we know Satan is not a creature that is waiting for you in a fiery place underneath the earth. When you go into that word Satan, it just means adversary. And Esau is set up to be the adversary against all things holy. You know, Revelation chapter 20, verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, which the angel was in a chariot, having the key of the bottomless pit. Now, the bottomless pit is representative of Europe because it holds no natural resources, you know. It says that's why it depends on Russia and other nations, and now America for gas. It says, and a great chain in his hand, which that chain represents slavery, because Esau was in captivity in Europe during the Dark Ages, which he doesn't teach you that in his schools. You know, he was in captivity um, underneath who they call the Moors or Morenos, which were Israelites. Verse 2, which also um, aligns with prophecy, uh, dealing with Jacob's blessing, right? Let me get that just for edification. Um, when it goes into the stolen blessing, right? This is Genesis chapter 27, verse 30. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac being Yahweh Shai in his past life, if you could receive it, had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting, because Esau is known to be a cunning hunter, right? Going back to Genesis, the 25th chapter, when they describe the boy, it says, and also made, he also had made savory meat and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, who? Where is he that have taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, thy brother came with subtlety, and have taken away thy blessing. So that's how Yahweh set it up through Isaac's wife, Rebekah, to be in favor of Jacob, so Jacob could receive the blessing instead of the elder Esau, because Esau was hated of the Heavenly Father, because his line was to be the line of the sons of the wicked, right? Verse 36, and he said, is not he rightly named Jacob, which is Yaqub in the Hebrew, which means supplanter, right? Or finesser. It says, for he have supplanted me these two times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing, right? Which, in all actuality, as the scriptures say, watch what you say. Let me see if I could find that. Ecclesiastes. See if this is the scripture I'm looking for. Right, okay. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 20, it says, "Curse not the king, no, not in thy thought," not even in your mind, right? "And curse not the rich in thy bedchamber, for a bird of the air shall carry the voice, and that which have wings shall tell the matter." Which we know that a bird, a physical bird, can't communicate. That bird, that which have wings, is speaking about the angels, right? So going back to Genesis chapter 27, verse 36, it was the angels that heard Esau make that agreement, and that's what solidified it when he showed a disregard for his birthright, by selling it for red pottage, right? That's the reason why you should not make oath, and you should do what you say you're going to do to the best of your ability, you know. And from my perspective, from my own situation, don't depend on others to come through to make your word good, right? Just depend on yourself when you make agreements, or it can get you caught up when that person that you're dependent on proves not to be dependable. But continuing, it says, "He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not preserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord." So-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous, um, the offspring of Jacob, they were made Lord over the offspring of Esau, which the offspring of Esau later identified themselves as being white in 1781, around 1781. But they're not white, they're translucent. They have no pigmentation, they don't have any melanin, which is a sign of who the wicked are. You know, it says, "And all his brethren have I given to him for servants." And that's why all you nations, you heathen nations, you're going to be our servants. You're going to be our slaves in the kingdom of heaven. First 1,000 years is going to be real hardcore for you. Not in the terms of Esau's enslavement, but in the terms that you won't have any rights. But after that 1,000 years, you'll get your lands back, but you will have to pay tribute, just as you would the Roman Empire or the American Empire. It says, "And with corn and wine have I sustained thee," or sustained him. "And what shall I do now unto thee, my son?" Now here's Esau's blessing, the so-called white man. "And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing? My father, bless me, even me also, O my father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. So the whole time, damn devil is crying hysterically, you know. Verse 39, "And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above." So this is really Yahweh working the mind of Isaac to give Esau's blessing, you know. It says, so Esau will be dwelling in the fatness of the earth That's why, at this particular time, uh, they control the whole world basically. And the dew of heaven from above, they're the first in outer space with, the Soviet Union and America, both Edomite nations. It says, and by thy sword, so by their military, right, shalt thou live and shalt serve thy brother. So this is the part in which he was a slave during the dark ages when he was serving the Moors, right? And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, and that dominion started during the Renaissance, right? Around the late 1300s, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So going back to Revelation, you have an understanding. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil meaning accuser, and Satan meaning adversary, and bound him 1,000 years, right? And that 1,000 years was during the dark ages, and that dragon represents Esau during the specifically the pagan Greco-Roman Empire, but more so the Roman Empire. If you want to get technical in the scriptures. Verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and that's where they, sprung into their rule in Europe, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more. So in that time period, you heathen nations weren't being deceived by this guy till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season, right, to bring about the second death, which is by fire. And we're in that little season right now, right? So that's when you Edomites were in slavery underneath the so-called Negroes in Europe. Verse 4, and I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness, which witness goes into testimony of Yahweh Shai. So there's going to be individuals that are going to rather die than to betray Yahweh Shai. And the Most High is going to put the spirit on them to fulfill that. It says, and for the word of Yahweh, and which had not worshipped the beast, which is this Roman system, right, that they're setting up, the revitalized Rome, neither his image, neither had received his mark, which is the Chuck Norris, upon their foreheads, the Chuck Norris head kick, or in their hands, the Chuck Norris hand block or arm bar, because we got to speak in code. And and that's just a sign that, you know, the elect are pretty much sealed, man. If we're speaking in code, then it's not for you people anymore, you know. And they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years, and that 1,000 years is dealing with the period between the establishment of the kingdom of heaven and uh, the release of you heathen nations out of slavery, right? So let me go also to Revelation chapter 13, which the beast from the sea, when you go to Revelation chapter 17, it refers to the sea as being people, right? And that beast is Esau in Rome, right? Because his whole thing is to revitalize Rome. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, which he's referring to people, and saw a beast rise up out of the people, right? Which that beast is a conglomerate of nations. Let me see. Let's see. So it just goes into the regions, but I'll read it anyway. Original Roman Empire and vassals. The original Roman Empire, established in 27 BCE, was a vast and powerful empire that expanded significantly during its reign. It was characterized by its military prowess, political stability, and cultural achievements. Same thing of America. The empire's expansion was facilitated by the establishment of client kingdoms. Same thing with what you got with NATO and the EU, which are semi-autonomous states that acknowledge Roman supremacy and provided military support in exchange for protection. These client kingdoms played a crucial role in maintaining the empire's borders and stability. The client kingdoms were not buffered states, but rather integral parts of the Roman Empire, with their rulers often educated in Rome and brought up in the Roman way. That's that image. The system of client kingdoms was formalized during the rule of Augustus, who leveraged the vassal kings to strengthen the empire's power. However, as the empire grew, many client kingdoms were eventually replaced by direct Roman control, reflecting a shift in the empire's governance strategy. The Roman Empire's client kingdoms included regions such as Pontus, Armenia, Mauritania, Judea, and parts of Gaul and Britannia. These territories were ruled by client kings who maintained some autonomy while acknowledging Roman authority. The client kingdoms were a strategic tool for maintaining control over territories beyond the empire's direct borders, allowing Rome to expand its influence and protect its interests. The Roman Empire's client kingdoms were a testament to the empire's ability to manage vast territories and maintain order. Despite the challenges of governing a diverse and often hostile environment, the client kingdoms were a significant aspect of the empire's legacy, representing its reach and the extent of its influence in the ancient world, right? So going back to Revelation chapter 13 and 1, it says, "And having seven heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy." Right. So that's depicted in this image right here. Sorry about this all come up. bear with me, I'm gonna get it. So this is the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, right? So the 7 heads equals 7 governments or kingdoms ruled by Esau, who was the so-called white man, right? So those 7 kingdoms were Germania Major, Romans, the French, Spanish, Germania Minor, British, the Greeks, right? And then when you go into Revelation chapter 17, America is the whore that rides the beast. Now the 10 horns were representative of Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Spain, and Portugal, England and Ireland, and West Germany, right? Let me see if I could read it. Which they were all brought into back into the existence through the ECC. I think it's this, ECCU. That's not it. Which is the Treaty of Rome. This is from Wikipedia. It says the Treaty of Rome, or EEC Treaty, officially the treaty establishing the European Economic Community, brought about the creation of the European Economic Community, the best known of the European communities. The treaty was signed on 25th March 1957 by Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and West Germany. It came into force on January 1st, 1958. Originally, the treaty establishing the European Economic Community and now continuing under the name Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union. It remains one of the two most important treaties in what is now the European Union. The treaty proposed a progressive reduction of customs duties and the establishment of a customs union. It proposed to create a common market for goods, labor, services, and capital across member states. It also proposed the creation of a common agriculture policy, a common transport policy, and a European Social Fund, and established the European Commission. The treaty has been amended on several occasions since 1957. The Maastricht Treaty of 1992 removed the word economic from the Treaty of Rome's official title, and in 2009, the Treaty of Lisbon renamed it the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union, right? Which, these stupid Christians think this is an actual mystical creature coming out of the sea. Verse 2, it says, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority, you know, which I'll go into that in another video. But staying on topic with Esau's blessing, uh, this is Micah chapter 2, verse 1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity," and this is just them scheming against the people, particularly you Israelites, and woke evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. All right, let's go to the NLT. It says, "What sorrow awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking upon evil or thinking up evil plans? You rise at dawn and hurry to carry them out simply because you have the power to do so." And that's starting with, the rich elite bankers, going all the way down in their pyramid hierarchy. It says, "And they covet fields," and so they want your resources, because what's in your field? Your resources. That's why they're in these different parts of the world, to acquire the resources. And that's why, Donald Trump is now so adamant on going heads up with Russia, because Russia is in control of that mineral rich land that was promised to America in exchange for its military aid to Ukraine, right? It says, "And take them by violence." And you saw them take those resources away from those Ishmaelites in Iraq, which was ancient Babylon. They took away the oil fields. They went to the Hindu Kush and they got the opium. And now you have an opium epidemic. You know, it says, "In houses and take them away." So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Right. And they've been doing it since they crawled up out of those caves. You know, first, the caves in Jordan, south of Judah, where you get Mount Seir or Petra. And then later in the Georgian mountains, the Caucasus, right? They crawled out of Mount Seir, stole the Greek Empire. They infiltrated and stole the Greek Empire, and then they infiltrated and stole the Roman Empire, just like they infiltrated and stole Europe, and they infiltrated and stole America, man. They're not the original. They're not the originals of any of these empires, man. They were all stolen. It says the end, after they stole them, they would identify themselves as those people to further try to hide their true identity of being Edomites. It says, "Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, because they have a very arrogant spirit. For this time is evil," evil being a compound word meaning bad times, right? So Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is stirring up the final stages of this devil, man. It says, "In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with the doleful lamentation, and say, we be utterly spoiled. Ye have changed the portion of my people. How have he removed it from me? Turning away, ye have divided our fields. Right. And that's something that happened with even Gad. Therefore, thou shalt have none that shall cast a cord by lot in the congregation of Yahweh. Prophesy ye not, say they to them that prophesy. They shall not prophesy to them, that they shall not take shame. O thou that art named the house of Jacob, is the spirit of Yahweh straitened? Are these his doings? Do not my words do good to him that walketh uprightly? Even of late my people is risen up as an enemy. Ye pull off the robe with the garment from them that pass by securely, as men averse from war. Which, that's kind of veering off topic. So, trying to stay within topic. This is Nahum chapter 3, verse 1. Woe to the bloody city, which that bloody city is America. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear. And there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses. And you could just imagine that during the wars in which Esau had with Gad. It says, and there is none in of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts. Behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face. See, Esau's being exposed, and you're starting to see these heathen nations seeing this devil for who he really is, right? It says, and I will show the nations thy nakedness. Your nakedness is synonymous to your wickedness. And the kingdoms thy shame. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. Right. And all this is culminating to the battle of Armageddon, or also World War III, which the battle of Armageddon is within World War III. Prophecies about Babylon, which is America. Isaiah 13:1, the burden of Babylon, or America, which Isaiah the son of Amoz did see. Lift ye up a banner, which is the truth, upon the high mountain, which is the highest exalted government. Mountains and hills represents governments. Exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles, which is the higher up elite. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones for my anger, which is the angels, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. Yahweh of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. So the Heavenly Father, Yahweh of armies, mustereth the host of the battle. He's the one that is bringing these nations into this major war, this major conflict, to plead with them or to destroy them. It says they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even Yahweh, and the weapons, which the weapons is those nuclear weapons, which is spoken about in Isaiah the 54th chapter, referred to as the waster. They're coming to America to wipe it off the face of the earth. It says, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. And that land is very particular. It's dealing with the land of America. Let me see. Let me see what this says. This is from shtfplan.com. It says, it says Secretary of War says U.S. must prepare for war. So you see, the Heavenly Father is mustering up the host to the battle. It says the United States Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said that the United States must prepare for war, right? So this is Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. It says the second woe is past, which that was dealing with World War II. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly, which is we're in World War III. You know, we're in the beginning stages, right? Go ahead and get Mark. St. Mark chapter 13, verse 8. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows, right? So everything that these people are doing is all pertaining to prophecy. It says, since specifics were left out, perhaps he's preferring the civilians for a war, or Slaki preferred, my bad. Perhaps he's preparing the civilians for a war against them. So far, the current administration has done much to allude to the possibility of a divide so great that the ruling class will be on one side of taking out its own people, which also aligns with biblical prophecy. Taking out of his own people. And as it says in Isaiah chapter 19, a message to Egypt. Now, Egypt is just an allegory for the house of bondage. Modern Egypt is America. Like both places, the original Egypt being Martazarium or Mizraim, they both had the Israelites in slavery. This is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1. The burden of America, behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift UFO, and shall come into America, and the idols of America shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of America shall melt in the midst of it. Right? Now, verbatim, and those idols are dealing with those, all these false religions, and these people that are set up, to be worshipped. The swift cloud represents the ships, who they ignorantly call UFOs, because Yahweh Shai, he's going to be riding on top of a so-called UFO. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, which that's Yahweh Shai, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. They're going to be afraid. Verse 2, and I will set the Americans against the Americans, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And that's what you got with that famous quote in the movie Civil War that came out not too long ago.
It's not having access to 1 million.
Just bear with me. Asparagus.
Wyatt, there's one hung up in there.
Hey guys. What's happening? I guess there's some kind of misunderstanding here.
And if you really zoom close to the pit, it's nothing but you Jakes, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous, and then also a few of you minorities.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. Those two guys over there, they're my colleagues.
What kind of colleagues?
Journalists, sir. We're passing through.
Passing through where?
Charlottesville.
Charlottesville. What's in Charlottesville?
Good hiking, I hear. Actually, we are covering the university campus there. They started a new program. They are reopening the school, which is it's a real feel-good story. And I guess we all need that, right?
Yeah. This guy's your colleague? This guy here?
Yes, sir. He's my...
That guy?
Sir?
Just what? Just what?
You know what?
What?
Just please.
Just please?
Sir, please.
Sir. Yes,
just
speak.
Let me... We're American journalists.
You told me that already.
Okay? We work for Reuters.
Reuters doesn't sound American.
Okay, it's a news agency.
I know what Reuters is.
Sir, okay. I'm just saying...
Just saying, just what?
We're American, okay?
Okay. Well, what kind of American are you?
Boom. And that's what it's going to boil down to real soon, man. What kind of American are you? And that's the Heavenly Father putting His Spirit on this place because He's getting ready to destroy it. And that's what you got going on.
From this moment forward, the only mission of the newly restored Department of War is this: warfighting, preparing for war and preparing to win, unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit. Not because we want war, no one here wants war, but it's because we love peace. We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it. Our number one job, of course, is to be strong so that we can prevent war in the first place. The president talks about it all the time. It's called peace through strength. And as history teaches us, the only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it. That's why pacifism is so naive and dangerous. It ignores human nature and it ignores human history. Either you protect your people and your sovereignty, or you will be subservient to something or someone. It's a truth as old as time.
Basically, he's saying that you jakes are overrunning the country, man. You're producing at rates that undermines the supremacy of Esau. So they're going to come into these cities and basically start 86ing you. What type of American are you, man? Because, there's even going to be casualties on their side that are going to be people that may look like them but are really us, that are going to help Jake in these times. And that's why it's called the time of Jacob's trouble, man. So I didn't want to make this video too long. Still the closing hours of the Day of Atonement. So got a little bit, maybe about, I'll probably go another 30 minutes. And so with that, I hope at least one brother, the elect, was edified. And I'm going to say shalom.